If you're enjoying our honest, science-based health advice for life after 50, don't forget to subscribe and click the like button. It helps more seniors discover this life-saving information and helps me, as a gastroenterologist, keep bringing you practical tips for real results. Let's take control of your health, one habit at a time. Most people over 50 think that heartburn, gas, or stomach cramps are just part of aging. But what if I told you that some of these issues and even more serious digestive conditions are being fueled by common foods you eat every day? And worse, these foods are silently destroying your gastric mucosa, the protective lining of your stomach. This mucosa acts like a shield, protecting your gut from acid, bacteria, and inflammation. Once it breaks down, ulcers, gastritis, leaky gut, and even cancer risks skyrocket. In my clinical experience, I've seen patients completely transform their digestion just by removing 5 foods. These aren't exotic or complicated. In fact, they're often marketed as healthy or harmless. But for people over 50, your stomach isn't as resilient as it once was. With age, we produce less stomach acid, less protective mucus, and we recover from inflammation more slowly. That's why these specific foods become especially dangerous. They attack your lining, increase permeability, and open the door to chronic digestive problems. Throughout this series, I'll walk you through each of these 5 offenders, explain how they damage your stomach lining, and offer easy alternatives that heal instead of hurt. This isn't about restriction, it's about wisdom. Knowing what to avoid and what to embrace can restore your comfort, reduce inflammation, and help you eat with confidence again. Let's begin your gut healing journey, and the first food on our list might surprise you. One of the most surprising culprits when it comes to stomach lining damage is refined tomato products, especially canned tomato sauce, ketchup, and paste. While tomatoes themselves can be part of a healthy diet, their processed forms often become a source of intense acidity, preservatives, and hidden sugars. This trio of irritants can wreak havoc on your stomach lining, particularly in older adults whose gastric barriers are already thinner and more sensitive with age. Let me explain why. Processed tomatoes are often stripped of their natural fiber and combined with citric acid and high fructose corn syrup to enhance shelf life and flavor. When this mixture enters your stomach, it doesn't behave like a fresh tomato. Instead, it acts like a chemical irritant, increasing stomach acid secretion while offering no natural protection. The result? A burning, corrosive environment that wears away the mucus layer, the very layer that guards your stomach from acid-induced injury. Over time, this damage can lead to inflammation, gastritis, and eventually ulcers. You may have noticed that after eating a plate of pasta with tomato sauce or indulging in ketchup-heavy meals, you feel a burning sensation, acid reflux, or bloating. That's no coincidence. For men and women over 50, the stomach lining isn't as quick to repair itself. Every time you consume these processed tomato products, you are slowly eroding your own natural defenses. It's a cumulative effect, and by the time the symptoms are serious, the damage is already advanced. So what's the solution? You don't need to eliminate tomatoes entirely. In fact, fresh tomatoes, especially when cooked lightly with olive oil, can be beneficial thanks to their lycopene and antioxidant content. But ditch the cans, bottles, and factory-made sauces. Try making your own sauce from fresh or roasted tomatoes, herbs, garlic, and a splash of extra virgin olive oil. Not only will you reduce stomach irritation, but you'll also improve nutrient absorption and gut resilience. Healing begins with smarter swaps. Many people over 50 have been told to eat more whole grains for fiber, digestion, and heart health. And while that advice holds truth in some cases, there's one whole grain that could be silently tearing up your stomach lining: whole wheat, especially in its modern, heavily processed form. It's marketed as a heart-healthy option, but if you suffer from frequent bloating, indigestion, or even stomach pain, this food might be the silent culprit hiding in your daily routine. Modern wheat is not what it used to be. Thanks to hybridization and mass production, most wheat today contains a much higher amount of gluten, a protein that, for many people, acts as an inflammatory agent in the gut. Even if you don't have celiac disease, you may have non-celiac gluten sensitivity, which causes the immune system to attack the small intestine and weaken the stomach's mucus layer. Over time, this leads to microscopic lesions, chronic inflammation, and poor nutrient absorption. For older adults, this is even more critical. After age 50, our digestive system slows down, and we become less efficient at breaking down gluten and other hard-to-digest proteins. Add to that a weakened stomach lining, and you've got the perfect storm for gastritis, acid reflux, and fatigue. Many patients are shocked when their symptoms improve, almost overnight, simply by removing wheat-based bread, pasta, and cereals from their diet. They often report more energy, less bloating, and better mental clarity too. If you're not ready to give up all grains, don't worry. There are gentler, more stomach-friendly options. Switch to gluten-free grains like quinoa, millet, or wild rice. These provide excellent fiber and nutrients without triggering stomach inflammation. Also, focus on foods that strengthen your gut wall, like fermented vegetables, bone broth, and slippery elm tea. Remember, your gut lining is your body's frontline defense, and whole wheat might be poking holes in it without you even realizing. Spices are often seen as healthy, and many are. But for men and women over 50, certain spicy foods can wreak havoc on the stomach lining, especially when consumed frequently or on an empty stomach. The main culprits? Chili peppers, hot sauces, and overly spiced processed foods. While they may add flavor and even offer some health benefits, they can also trigger gastric irritation, heartburn, and damage to the mucosa, particularly in older adults whose stomach linings are already more fragile. Capsaicin, the active compound in chili peppers, is responsible for their heat. In small amounts, it can stimulate digestion. But too much capsaicin can overwhelm the stomach's protective lining, especially when mixed with acidic ingredients like vinegar or tomato paste, common in hot sauces. The result? A burning sensation, inflammation, and in many cases, the onset or worsening of gastritis or ulcers. Repeated exposure without protective measures leads to microtears and decreased mucosal resilience. For people over 60, this risk is amplified. With age, the production of protective mucus in the stomach decreases, making it more vulnerable to external irritants. If you find yourself craving spicy food but often suffer from indigestion, acid reflux, or a burning feeling in your upper abdomen afterward, your body is sending you a clear signal. That heat you love might be burning more than your tongue. In long-term cases, inflammation can interfere with nutrient absorption and even lead to chronic conditions. But there are smart ways to enjoy flavor without damage. Instead of fiery peppers and vinegar-laced sauces, try using anti-inflammatory herbs like turmeric, ginger, fennel seeds, or cinnamon, all of which promote digestion and protect the stomach lining. Cook with gentle, gut-friendly spices that still bring warmth and taste, but without the destructive aftershocks. Remember, if you're over 60, it's not about giving up flavor. It's about choosing the kind of flavor that heals instead of hurts. They look innocent: white bread, white rice, pastries, and pasta, but refined grains are one of the most deceptive enemies of your digestive system after 60. These foods have been stripped of fiber, nutrients, and protective compounds, leaving behind a starch-dense product that digests quickly, spikes blood sugar, and feeds harmful gut bacteria. Worse yet, they lack the essential bulk that your gut lining needs to stay resilient and functional. As we age, the stomach lining becomes more delicate. A diet low in fiber and rich in refined grains reduces mucus production, weakens the integrity of gut walls, and disrupts the balance of gut flora. This leads to chronic constipation, bloating, inflammation, and even the erosion of the protective stomach barrier, especially when these foods dominate your daily intake. Over time, this environment becomes a breeding ground for acid damage, infection, and increased risk of leaky gut syndrome or gastritis. The danger isn't just in what these foods contain, it's in what they're missing. Without fiber, your stomach slows down, digestion becomes sluggish, and undigested particles can irritate the gut lining, especially in sensitive seniors. Many patients over 60 report increased reflux, discomfort, or even stomach ulcers without realizing that their daily toast or bowl of pasta could be the cause. It's not the carb itself that's the issue, it's the form it's in: processed, stripped, and nutritionally empty. The solution? Gradual replacement. Start incorporating whole grains like oats, quinoa, bulgur, and brown rice into your meals. These options are rich in fiber, B vitamins, and antioxidants that protect the gut lining and promote regular digestion. They also feed healthy bacteria that build a stronger intestinal barrier and help your body fight inflammation. Remember, every refined bite may feel comforting, but over time, it's like pulling bricks from the walls of your stomach's defense. It's never too late to rebuild. For many adults over 60, coffee is a morning ritual, a source of comfort, and a perceived energy boost. But what most don't realize is that excess caffeine consumption, especially on an empty stomach, can significantly weaken the stomach's protective lining. Coffee, tea, and energy drinks stimulate acid production, and as we age, our gastric mucosa becomes more vulnerable to damage. The result? Chronic irritation, acid reflux, and in many cases, the slow erosion of the stomach wall. Caffeine increases the secretion of hydrochloric acid in the stomach. In moderation, that's not a problem. But in excess, particularly when combined with an aging digestive system, it can cause acid to wear away the mucus barrier that protects the stomach lining. This leads to gastritis, ulcers, and even internal bleeding in severe cases. Seniors with existing digestive conditions are even more susceptible and often don't make the connection between their symptoms and that extra cup of coffee. What makes the situation worse is the timing. Drinking coffee first thing in the morning before eating anything means there's no buffer for the stomach acid. That's when the lining is most exposed and unprotected. It's also common to combine caffeine with other stomach irritating habits, like skipping meals or eating processed carbs, a perfect storm for long-term gastric damage. Some people feel the effects immediately, while others only discover the harm after months or years of silent inflammation. The solution isn't to quit caffeine entirely, unless advised by your doctor, but to moderate your intake. Limit yourself to 1 cup a day, avoid drinking it on an empty stomach, and switch to low-acid coffee blends or herbal teas when possible. Always pair your morning drink with a fiber-rich, stomach-friendly meal to protect your gut lining. Remember, at age 60 and beyond, your digestive health is more delicate, and every sip has consequences. Treat your stomach like the vital organ it is, because once the damage is done, recovery takes time. Artificial sweeteners may seem like a healthy alternative to sugar, especially for seniors managing diabetes or weight. But what many men and women over 60 don't know is that these chemical substitutes can wreak havoc on the digestive system, particularly the delicate mucosa that lines your stomach and intestines. Substances like sucralose, aspartame, and saccharin don't just pass through your system unnoticed. They actively interfere with the balance of gut bacteria and digestive enzymes. Your stomach and gut are home to trillions of beneficial microbes that help digest food, absorb nutrients, and protect the lining of your digestive tract. When you consume artificial sweeteners regularly, these chemicals disrupt the microbiome, reducing the number of good bacteria and allowing harmful strains to multiply. This imbalance is known as dysbiosis, and over time, it can lead to chronic inflammation, gas, bloating, and damage to the stomach lining itself. In some studies, artificial sweeteners have been shown to thin the protective mucus layer, making the stomach and intestines more susceptible to irritation from acid, spicy foods, and medications. Seniors who already have compromised digestion or low stomach acid are especially vulnerable. And since these sweeteners are present in so many sugar-free foods, they can slowly accumulate in your diet without you realizing how much harm they're doing. The damage tends to be slow, subtle, and for many, entirely silent until it becomes serious. To protect your stomach lining, avoid or limit foods labeled sugar-free or diet, especially those with long ingredient lists. Opt instead for small amounts of natural sweeteners like honey or stevia, which are easier on your gut when consumed in moderation. Focus on whole, unprocessed foods and drink plenty of water to help your digestive system flush out irritants. At this stage of life, Even one simple dietary habit can make the difference between ongoing digestive discomfort and lasting gut health. After warning you about the 5 dangerous foods that can slowly destroy your stomach lining, I want to end with hope. Because here's the truth. Your body is capable of healing itself if you give it the right support. And one of the most overlooked tools for that healing is a powerful, ancient superfood, bone broth. Yes, this humble remedy, once a staple in traditional diets, is now backed by modern science for its gut healing benefits, especially for men and women over 60. Bone broth contains collagen, glutamine, glycine, and proline, all essential compounds for repairing the mucosal lining of the stomach and intestines. These nutrients form the building blocks of the very tissue that protects your digestive tract. When consumed regularly, bone broth can help seal tiny holes in the gut lining, reduce inflammation, and restore proper digestion. For seniors dealing with acid reflux, indigestion, or gastritis, it can be a game changer. What makes bone broth particularly effective is its bioavailability. The nutrients are already broken down during slow cooking, making them easier to absorb even for older adults with weakened digestion. Many people report improved appetite, sleep, skin quality, and bowel movements after just a few weeks of adding bone broth to their routine. It's not a miracle cure, but it's one of the most natural and gentle ways to support your gut health as you age. So if you've been struggling with bloating, gas, nausea, or that burning pain after meals, don't just focus on cutting out harmful foods. Start adding in the foods that heal, like bone broth, steamed vegetables, fermented foods, and omega-3 rich options like salmon or flax seeds. Your stomach lining is your first line of defense. Protect it, nourish it, and it will take care of you for many years to come. And if this series helped you, don't forget to share it with someone who needs to hear this message. Your gut deserves a second chance, and so do you.